people's another week down of prep. So many weeks out, I don't even know the number, and I'm not even gonna bother the number. But I do know that this week hurt. This week, I was very hungry this week. I was super tired this week. I realized that this week is not gonna come so autopilot mode. I'm gonna have to really grip the wheel. I want a goal, and I've had to give up a lot for that goal. Giving up something obviously is just sacrifice, right? But this week I've made an insane realization that to sacrifice, you have to be unapologetic. Being unapologetic and sacrificing are two and the same, and I don't think that you can separate the two. Sacrifice is one of those things that you think of that is just an even exchange. You just think, okay, well, if I give up this, I can get this, right? It's just some even trade-off, almost even like a mathematical formula. The older I get, the more I realize sacrifice isn't that. It's a trade-off, but it has its requirements. This is why so many people don't sacrifice, because they're too apologetic. You don't want to give up brunch on Saturdays with this friend that you can only see once a week because you're too apologetic. You would hate if you lost that friendship because you had to sacrifice that to do something else. We need to figure out as people, if we want to be successful in this fitness thing, what do I give a fuck about? What don't I give a fuck about? For me, there are things that I never sacrifice. I will never put second no matter what. And I think everyone needs some type of base, right? Because if you can sacrifice anything, then, well, you're basically, yeah, you're a maniac. There should be some stopping points, but I think people have too many things they don't want to sacrifice, and they put too much meaning into it. It's super difficult. It's hard to look that friend in the face and say, hey man, I'm sorry that I haven't been making our brunches for the past 8 months. I just been on this new training program and I really want this goal. But I've realized that there's almost a dark side to reaching your goals and doing things that we want to, especially in sports, is that you just have to not care. You have to be unapologetic. You have to be able to tell people, hey, brunch friend, in 8 months, this is what I'm gonna do. This is what I want to do. I can't do these brunches, dog. I still love you. Maybe there's another way we can hang out, but I don't care. My goal is my number one thing, and our brunches are just not above it. A lot of people may think this is cold behavior, or it's not right, or you're not living a balanced life. Dude, number one is not balance. Average is balance, right? The median is balance. The 1% is never balanced. If you look at the 1% in any statistical distribution, the 1% is the elite thing that's doing some extra amount of work that everyone else is not doing. Number one comes at the sacrifice of what the people in the middle are doing. That's how it's been for everything. That's always how it's gonna be. Initially, I think this is hard, and this was hard for me when I first got started because it's almost like your thing is a joke at first. Before you get started, the goal is nothing. It's just a goal. It's just empty. There's no value to it. So obviously, right, that friend on Wednesday basketball or that person is worth more at the time than your goal. But I'll tell you what, if you don't build that thing, make it worth something, it will never have worth. That's the whole point of sacrifice, is to give up things that seem good now for something that is better. Even if it's not better now, it will potentially be better in the long run in the future. And you have to do this. You have to do this. This is not a suggestion, because if you don't do it, here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna grow to resent that friend that held you back in brunches. You're gonna grow to resent your Wednesday basketball group, because you know what? They are the reason, and they are the crutch that you use because you couldn't get your shit together and you couldn't move forward. Contest prep is a sick thing. I do realize that. And is probably the most extreme level of sacrificing to get the most minimal return on something. But being back in this place reminds me of the old me in many ways. I haven't felt this way in a long time. And I think it's important to let people know in these dire striving times for whatever it is you want, bro, you gotta sacrifice a lot of shit. And you gotta not care. You just have to not give a fuck. In time, people will be happy for you. People will say, holy shit, I'm actually glad you did that. I'm glad that you gave up something that we had that was small, or this event or this thing that we did that was good for its time, but you manifested into who you are. Don't let your current lifestyle be a block or be an excuse for who you want to be. For who you want to be, you have to give up the current person that you are now to become that person. This current you has to die. You have to give up a lot of things about it. You have to sacrifice a lot of things about it in order to get to the highest level of who you imagine that you are. And honestly, if you're not living at who you feel is the highest level of yourself, you have this huge anxiety disconnect right now. And I think all of us have that feeling. I have that feeling many days where I just feel like I'm not who I think I could be. And that is just the worst feeling. And there are many days where I do feel like I live up to that person. And guess what? On those days, I made the most sacrifices. If you know that you want to do something, the real people in your life will understand. If you don't get a few people back, they weren't your friends anyways. They didn't believe in what you wanted to be. Why would you want to be friends with someone who doesn't believe in your highest self? In the words of Charles Bukowski, my favorite American poet, your life is your life. Don't let it be clubbed into dank submission. Be on the watch. There are ways out. It may not be much light, but it beats the darkness. If you conform and you just go with the flow and go with what everyone does and you never sacrifice any of the autopilot things that are in your life, well, it's not your life then, is it? All right, that's all I got for today. Thank you guys for watching another week. Glad to be doing these again. If you like the video, like the video. If you don't like the video, I don't know. I know you don't want your. I know, but I'm just saying. Subscribe, comment. I think that's it. Talk to you guys next week.